We're blowing it away. We're blowing everything away, and we're going to end that war very quickly. They want to make a deal so badly.
Fresh fears are rising that Iran could tighten its grip over the Strait of Hormuz just a day after reports of an explosion near the Bab-al-Mandeb Strait. The US military is on alert after intelligence assessments reportedly identified additional Iranian naval mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Maham-3 and Maham-7 naval mines are now fueling fresh concerns in Washington over the safety of warships and commercial vessels in Hormuz. As Iran tightens pressure around Hormuz, fears are growing that Tehran could also seek leverage near the Bab-al-Mandeb shipping corridor. Even as Donald Trump claims Iran is eager for a deal, Tehran appears to be stepping up military preparations across key Gulf waterways. Fresh US intelligence assessments have revealed that American forces identified at least 10 naval mines in the Strait of Hormuz. US officials say the mines were detected amid soaring tensions between Washington and Iran in the Gulf region. The latest findings add to earlier intelligence warnings that had already flagged underwater mines in the strategic waterway. American officials had previously estimated that Iran deployed at least a dozen naval mines across the region. The mines are believed to include Iran's domestically produced Maham-3 and Maham-7 systems. Officials say the Maham-3 mine is designed to detect nearby vessels using magnetic and acoustic sensors before striking targets. Meanwhile, the Maham-7 is a seabed sticking mine capable of targeting medium-sized ships and submarines. However, US officials have not confirmed which specific mine types were identified in the latest assessment. The US military has now begun redirecting commercial vessels away from routes considered vulnerable to Iranian mines. Washington has also warned that using the normal shipping corridor through Hormuz could now be extremely hazardous. The Pentagon has further accused Iran of laying fresh naval mines in the strait earlier this year. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most critical energy choke points. Before tensions escalated, nearly 20% of global oil supplies passed through the narrow waterway every day. The worsening security situation has already pushed fuel prices sharply higher across international markets. The developments come even as Donald Trump recently paused planned military strikes on Iran. Trump has also claimed that new negotiations are now underway to prevent a wider regional war.
And now we're blowing it away. We're blowing everything away, and we're going to end that war very quickly. They want to make a deal so badly. They're tired of this. Should have happened for 47 years. Somebody should have done something about it, and it's going to happen, and it's going to happen fast, and you're going to see oil prices plummet. They're going to come down. There's so much oil out there. They're going to come plummeting down. But even with that, the stock market's at an all-time high. Jobless claims recently hit the lowest level since 1969, the best numbers since 1969, and more Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. Think of that. And we have a war. We have something happening that we just hit. It's very interesting. 2.5 months ago, we hit the best numbers that we've ever hit as a country. Jobs, the best. Everything was the best. Stock market, the highest. And I called my people in. I called them in. I said, congratulations, everybody, but we're going to have to make a little journey down to a place called Iran. We have to stop them. They have nuclear on their mind, and we're not going to let them have a nuclear weapon. And we've done a hell of a job, and I think we're going to be finished with that very quickly, and they won't have a nuclear weapon, and hopefully we're going to get it done in a very nice manner. Factory construction, as you heard today, also is up. Housing starts are up, and consumer spending is up. All things, we have an economy. People aren't seeing it yet. When we started, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country, and we actually had, just before the war, before the energy forced other things up, but up or down, we had the best numbers. Inflation was at 1.6% for the last 3 months just prior to the war, and now you're going to see numbers like that again. You saw that with Venezuela. You see it now with Iran. We wiped out their Navy. The Navy is gone. The Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft is gone. All of their material that they use for warfare is gone. Just about everything is gone. I don't want to say their leaders are gone because it's not very nice, but that happens to be true. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. We won't be able to put up with that, and we're not going to put up with it. And just to say one final thing, in the history of the world, there's never been anything like happened over the last short period of time.
A powerful explosion occurred on May 18th near the Bab-al-Mandeb Strait in the Red Sea, according to reports that described a sudden, large blast which immediately triggered emergency responses from nearby ports and naval units. The blast reports have heightened fears of shipping disruption amid already tense regional conditions and spiking oil costs, prompting traders and governments to reassess transit risks and contingency plans for alternative routes. The Bab-al-Mandeb Strait is one of the world's most vital shipping lanes, handling a large share of merchant traffic between Europe and Asia and serving as a choke point whose security is essential to global trade flows. The strait bridges the Mediterranean Sea and the Indian Ocean via the Suez Canal, forming a critical segment of the north-south maritime corridor that links Europe with South and East Asia. The importance of the Bab-al-Mandeb has increased since Iran's effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz, because any sustained disruption at Hormuz pushes more traffic and strategic focus onto alternative choke points such as the Red Sea Passage. Both Iran and the United States have effectively blockaded the Strait of Hormuz amid a fragile ceasefire, actions that have amplified global concern about maritime security and the robustness of energy supply lines. If Iran shuts Hormuz and Bab-al-Mandeb both, the world would face a compounded maritime crisis that could ripple through energy markets and global trade in unprecedented ways. 25% of global oil and gas supplies could be put at immediate risk, as closure of both choke points would sever key sea routes that carry a large share of the world's hydrocarbon shipments. As many as 30% of container shipping routes could be hit, forcing ships to reroute around Africa's Cape of Good Hope and adding significant time and cost to global supply chains. An estimated $10 billion a day in trade could be disrupted, with snarled logistics, delayed deliveries, and soaring freight rates hitting industries and consumers across multiple continents. Iran said on May 17 that it is holding talks with Oman about the Strait of Hormuz, focusing on issues related to maritime traffic and security. Officials from Iran and Oman held expert-level consultations in Muscat last week on shipping safety in the strategic waterway. Iran's foreign ministry stated that the two sides are working on a new mechanism to facilitate commercial ship traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. The ministry added that both Iran and Oman have a shared responsibility to ensure the safe passage of vessels transiting the strait. Iran also insisted that it holds no hostility toward regional countries, explicitly mentioning the United Arab Emirates. At the same time, Tehran warned its Gulf neighbors about what it called plots by external powers operating in the region. Iranian officials urged regional states to remain vigilant and stay alert against foreign interference in their affairs. Iran further said it is closely monitoring its neighbors' contacts and visits with Israel, signaling concern over any deepening ties. These comments came after massive explosions were reported in the UAE capital, Abu Dhabi, on May 17, heightening tensions around the Gulf. Al Jazeera reported that a drone attack near the Barakah nuclear power plant ignited a fire in its vicinity, raising immediate security concerns. The drones reportedly targeted the electrical generator at the Barakah nuclear power plant in the Al Dhafar region of Abu Dhabi. Despite the incident, reports stated that the plant continues to operate normally and that radiological safety levels have not been affected. The episode came just hours after a close aide to Mojtaba issued a chilling warning directed at Gulf states on May 16, linking the blast to a rapidly escalating regional climate. Mokbar said, quote, "Iran looked upon them for years as friends and brothers, but they, by pre-selling their sovereignty, even placed their soil and homes at the disposal of the enemies of Palestine and Iran." The Islamic Republic's response to the CENTCOM's rented outposts in the recent all-out war was not full-scale, but certainly, this restraint is not perpetual. Unquote. According to this report, shortly after U.S.-Israeli strikes began, Abu Dhabi pressed its neighbors to join a broader regional response, trying to turn limited retaliation into a Gulf-wide front against Tehran. Mohammed bin Zayed personally urged Saudi Arabia and Qatar to participate in a joint answer to Iranian attacks, arguing that only a united wall of states could deter further strikes. MBZ is reported to have believed that if the Gulf stood together, politically and militarily, Iran would think twice before firing on oil terminals, towers and airports again. Instead, key partners including Saudi Arabia and several other Gulf states refused to sign up to a retaliatory campaign, judging that escalation carried more risks than benefits. Some leaders are even said to have told MBZ bluntly that this was not their conflict, signaling they were unwilling to be dragged deeper into a fight they saw as primarily US-Iranian. All of this unfolded as Tehran fired nearly 3,000 drones and missiles at targets inside the UAE before the April 8 ceasefire, turning Dubai and Abu Dhabi into frontline cities overnight. Iran's barrages also struck ports, airports, towers and hotels across the wider region, underscoring why some Gulf rulers feared any additional strikes might only invite more destruction at home.